9 lifetimes. 9 failed attempts to win the heart of the ice queen of campus, Sophia Reed. The 9th time, in front of the entire student body, she threw the 999 roses I'd given her into a trash can. Cole Fisher, does a loser like you really think you have a shot with me? Don't ever show your face to me again. If I see you, I'll put you in your place every single time. The system's voice droned in my head. Continue with the 10th pursuit? My heart was a wasteland of ash. I chose to give up. A new notification popped up. New host affection value is off the charts. Transfer pursuit objective. I tapped confirm without a second thought. The next day, the school's other untouchable goddess, the heiress Isabel Vance, blocked the entrance to the men's dorm with a limited edition sports car. In front of everyone, she walked right up to me, her eyes red-rimmed, and asked in a small, cautious voice, "Cole Fisher, I heard you're single now. Does that mean I can ask you out?" Not far away, Sophia Reed saw the whole thing. The color drained from her face. I stood rooted to the spot in front of my dorm, my mind a complete blank. The scene unfolding before me was so surreal, I figured it had to be a new form of psychological torture cooked up by the system after I quit. An Aston Martin, the kind I'd only ever seen in car magazines, was parked defiantly in front of the crumbling brick facade of Harrison Hall. The driver's door swung open, and out stepped Isabel Vance. She was wearing a simple white sundress, yet she outshone every other girl, no matter how carefully they dressed. She was Sophia's best friend, a true heiress from a world even more stratospheric than Sophia's, the literal dream girl of every guy at Northwood University. And right now, that dream girl was walking through the gawking crowd, straight toward me. The air grew thick and silent. The only sounds the sharp intakes of breath and the frantic clicking of phone cameras. "Cole Fisher, I heard you're single now. Does that mean I can ask you out?" Her voice was soft, laced with a tremor of nervousness and pleading that I couldn't quite place. I was frozen. Memories from 9 lifetimes churned in my head, but as I combed through every corner of every past life, I couldn't find a single moment of connection with her. Why was she doing this? Just then, a shrill voice cut through the bizarre calm. "Isabel, are you insane?" Sophia pushed through the crowd, her face a mask of disbelief. She stormed over and pointed a finger at me, demanding an answer from Isabel. "What do you see in him? He's just a broke, obsessive creep. A stalker." I'd heard those words for 9 lifetimes. My heart was numb to them. I couldn't even be bothered to look at her. Isabel, however, turned around. The gentle hope in her eyes instantly flash-froze into something sharp and cold. "Sophia, who I choose to pursue is none of your damn business." She took a step forward, shielding me like a lioness protecting her cub. "He may not have money, but he's 1,000 times better than someone who takes a person's genuine affection and treats it like garbage." "You," Sophia sputtered, her face turning purple with rage. Isabel ignored her, taking my cold hand in hers. I was too stunned to react as she pressed a heavy, metallic car key into my palm. "There's breakfast in the car. I made you a sandwich and brought some hot coffee." Her fingertips were cool, but the brief contact sent a jolt through me, making my heart clench. I instinctively tried to pull my hand back, but she held on tighter. "I'll pick you up after your classes tonight." Sophia's voice rose to a shriek. "Isabel, you're really going to turn on me for a guy like him? You'll regret this." Isabel shot her a final, warning glare. "Regret it? The only thing I regret is ever knowing you." Then she stood on her toes, leaned in close, and whispered so only I could hear, "Don't be scared. This time, I'll protect you." Her warm breath ghosted across my ear, and a blush crept up my neck. She turned and walked away, leaving me with the rear view of an insanely expensive car and the explosive chatter of the entire student body. Holy crap, did Isabel Vance just ask him out? In public. And she asked out Cole Fisher, the guy who's been simping for Sophia for years. This is insane. Sophia literally just dumped him, and her best friend swoops in. Sophia stood frozen, listening to the murmurs around her. She looked like a cheap balloon that had just been publicly popped, her face shifting between shades of pale and green. I looked down at the car key in my hand, then at her humiliated expression. For the first time in 9 lifetimes, I felt what it was like to be chosen, to be defended. In the dead, barren wasteland of my heart, a single, warm ember began to glow. 2. I never touched the sports car. I stuffed the key in my pocket, where it felt heavy and foreign. I couldn't focus through my morning classes. All eyes were on me, a constant barrage of whispers and stares. That's Cole Fisher? He looks so average. What does Isabel Vance see in him? You don't get it. It's the contrast. Maybe he's got something special you can't see. A sharper voice cut in. Special? Yeah, a special talent for being a shameless simp. He finally wore Sophia out, so he moved on to Isabel. Guess he got lucky this time. I kept my face buried in my textbook, completely immune. Those words couldn't hurt me anymore. My roommate, Big Mike, however, was turning red with anger. He tried to stand up and start something twice, but I pulled him back down. Cole, man, just ignore them. Bunch of gossiping idiots. I nodded and kept reading. At lunch, I had just sat down in the dining hall when Sophia appeared with her tray and slid into the seat across from me. She was dressed in a pristine white dress, her hair down, the exact look I used to love. Now it just looked fake. Cole, we need to talk, she said, her tone dripping with the condescending air of someone granting an audience. I ignored her and focused on my food. The blatant dismissal made her flinch. She bit her lip, then lowered her voice. What happened this morning? Isabel was just having a moment. Don't take it seriously. She leaned in. A girl like her, she's just looking for a little novelty, a new toy to play with. If you know what's good for you, you'll stay away from her. It'll be much less embarrassing than when she dumps you. I stabbed a piece of meatloaf and chewed it thoughtfully. It was surprisingly good. Seeing that I was still stonewalling her, Sophia started to get agitated. Don't be an idiot. I'm warning you for your own good. You're broke nobody. You and Isabel Vance are from different planets. She was practically hissing now. If you get with her, everyone's just going to laugh at you for being her boy toy. Don't you have any self-respect? I finally looked up, my expression calm. What does my self-respect have to do with you? I met her eyes. Sophia, did you forget? You're the one who threw my dignity in a trash can yesterday. So don't you think it's a little ridiculous for you to come here and lecture me about it? The color drained from Sophia's face. She never expected me to be so blunt. I was just angry. It's because you wouldn't stop harassing me. Oh, really? I put down my fork and leaned forward slightly. Then what are you doing right now? Harassing me? You. Sophia was speechless, her eyes welling up with tears as she put on her classic victim face. Cole, what happened to you? You never used to be like this. She was playing the sympathy card, trying to summon the ghost of the guy who used to worship her. Too bad for her. That guy was dead. He died in the 9th lifetime, buried under her cold rejection and heartless mockery. Just then, a cool voice drifted over from the side. How he acts in front of you depends entirely on the kind of person you are. Isabel strolled over with her tray. She squeezed past Sophia, sat down right beside me, and casually moved the grilled chicken from her plate onto mine. Eat up. You look like you've lost weight. Her movements were so natural, so intimate. It was as if we'd known each other for years. Sophia stared at us, her eyes burning with jealousy. Isabel, what the hell do you think you're doing? Isabel took a slow sip of her soup before deigning to look at her. What am I doing? I thought I already told you. I'm pursuing him. She paused, then added, and another thing, stop bothering him. He's the person I'm interested in, and I don't like it when other people touch my things. That last sentence lit Sophia's fuse. She shot to her feet, pointed a trembling finger at me, and screamed at Isabel. Your things? Isabel, you're picking up the trash I threw out and calling it treasure. The words were barely out of her mouth when a sharp smack echoed through the now silent dining hall. Isabel stood up, shaking out her reddened hand. Sophia clutched her cheek, staring in utter disbelief. You hit me. Isabel's eyes were chips of ice. I hit you to teach you some manners. First, he is not trash. His name is Cole Fisher. Second, even if he were trash, he's a treasure I pulled out of the garbage heap. The person who threw him away doesn't get an opinion. And third, if I ever hear you insult him again, it won't be just a slap. With that, she grabbed my wrist. Let's go. The air in here is toxic. I let her pull me out of the stunned silence of the dining hall. Behind us, I could hear Sophia's choked sobs and see the shocked faces of everyone around us. My heart was hammering against my ribs. For the first time ever, someone had slapped Sophia Reed for me. 3 that night, against my better judgment, I went to meet her. Isabel didn't bring the flashy sports car. Instead, she was waiting at the campus gate in a discreet black Audi. I expected her to take me to some Michelin-star restaurant, but we drove through a series of winding back streets and finally stopped at the mouth of a dingy alley. Tucked away inside was a hole-in-the-wall joint with a faded, peeling sign. I froze. This place. I found it during my 5th lifetime, back when I was saving every penny to buy Sophia a gift. It was a little Cajun place with the best blackened catfish I'd ever had. It became my secret spot. I hadn't been here once in this lifetime. You coming? What are you staring at? Isabel was already out of the car, urging me on. I followed her inside, where a friendly older woman greeted her warmly. Izzy, honey, good to see you. What can I get for you tonight? Hey, Maria. The usual. 1 large blackened catfish, extra spicy, and a side of garlic broccoli and some Cajun fries. Isabel ordered like a regular, and every single dish was one of my absolute favorites. She even knew I hated cilantro, a detail I thought only I knew. As we waited for the food, I finally had to ask, Isabel, have we met somewhere before? Her hand, which had been pouring tea, paused for a fraction of a second. She looked up and gave me a smile that was full of hidden meaning. Of course we have. I've been watching you for a very long time, Cole Fisher. Her gaze was deep, like a lake with no bottom, and it made my heart skip a beat. The food arrived, smelling incredible. The flavor was just as authentic as I remembered. I buried my head in the plate, trying to use the food to hide my growing unease. Isabel barely ate. She just propped her chin on her hand, a small smile on her face as she watched me. Suddenly, she leaned across the table, her warm breath on my cheek. My body went rigid. Before I could react, she reached out, plucked a grain of rice from the corner of my mouth, and then, as I stared, popped it in her own. She licked her lips, her eyes crinkling at the corners. No guasting. Boom. All the blood in my body rushed to my head. After 9 lifetimes of chasing Sophia, I'd never even held her hand. This small, impossibly intimate gesture from a girl I barely knew completely shattered the defenses of this supposedly experienced pursuer. My embarrassment seemed to delight her. She leaned in closer, a mischievous glint in her eyes. What's wrong? Your face is so red. You weren't this shy when you were chasing Sophia, were you? I fell silent. How could she possibly know all this? Could she also have memories of the past lives? The thought exploded in my mind, but I quickly suppressed it. Impossible. The system said I was the only one who could reincarnate. After dinner, we walked along the river. The cool night breeze helped clear my head. I decided I had to get answers. Isabel, about today. I didn't get to finish. The girl beside me suddenly cried out, "Oh," and crumpled, falling directly into my arms. I caught her on instinct, my world suddenly filled with her soft body and a light floral scent. I think I twisted my ankle. It hurt so much. She whimpered, her brow furrowed in pain, but her arms wrapped securely around my neck, her entire weight pressing against me. Her cheek rested against the side of my neck, her breath tickling my skin and sending shivers down my spine. Cole, she murmured, her voice soft and hypnotic. You have this. Scent that makes me feel safe. I was holding her, trapped, my entire body feeling like it was on fire. Was this really the aloof, untouchable Isabel Vance? Why did it feel like she knew everything about me? Who was she? For the next day, rumors that I was being kept by a rich girl were all over campus. A harshly worded disciplinary notice was posted on the official university bulletin board. It didn't name names, but the description, a certain male student of inappropriate conduct who has been harassing a female student and is involved in an improper financial relationship with an individual outside the university, severely damaging the school's reputation, was clearly aimed at me. Anyone with half a brain knew it was the Student Government Association's way of publicly shaming me and Isabel. And the SGA president was, of course, Sophia Reed. Overnight, I became the campus joke. Walking to class, I could feel the stares and hear the whispers. Look, that's him, the gold digger. He's not even that good looking. I don't get what Isabel sees in him. She sees that he has no shame. Look at him, acting like nothing's wrong. The guy's got nerves of steel. Big Mike was ready to fight someone, but I held him back. Cole, this is obviously Sophia's doing. We have to go to the dean. No need. I shook my head, my heart as still as a frozen lake. I'd been through this and worse in past lives. For Sophia, I'd been misunderstood, ostracized, even expelled. Compared to all that, a few rumors were nothing. I had the afternoon off, so I went to the library. I'd barely opened a book when Sophia marched in, flanked by a few other SGA members, her chin held high. She stopped in front of my table, looking down at me with an expression of pure, triumphant glee. "So, Cole, how does it feel, being seen as a kept man by the whole school? But it doesn't feel great, does it?" I looked up and closed my book. "It's fine." My calm seemed to infuriate her. "Stop pretending. I'm telling you, stay away from Isabel. You don't deserve her. Otherwise, this is just the beginning. I have 100 ways to make your life at this university a living hell." I looked at her face, twisted with jealousy, and felt nothing but a detached sense of irony. This was the woman I had poured my heart out for 9 lifetimes. I gave her a 2-word reply. "And you do?" Sophia's face turned the color of a plum. She couldn't believe I'd dare to mock her even now. You have a death wish." My indifference finally broke her. She raised her hand to slap me. I didn't move. I even closed my eyes, bracing for the familiar sting. But the slap never came. A stronger hand caught Sophia's wrist midair. I opened my eyes to see Isabel standing there. She must have just arrived. Behind her were 2 men in black suits who looked like bodyguards, as well as the dean of students and another middle-aged man I didn't recognize, but who carried an air of immense authority. Isabel didn't even glance at Sophia. She immediately took my hand, cradled it in hers, and blew on it gently, as if I'd actually been hit. Her eyes were filled with a deep, heart-wrenching pain. "Are you okay? Did she scare you?" Only after she'd finished her dramatic display of concern did she turn her ice-cold gaze on the now-pale Sophia, the SGA president, abusing her power for a personal vendetta, fabricating stories to slander a fellow student. She said each word with chilling precision. "Sophia, my lawyers will be in touch." The distinguished man beside her, who I now realized was a university trustee, stepped forward. After a review by the university board, he announced, his voice booming, "We have decided to immediately strip Sophia Reed of her position as SGA president and all other official duties. She will be required to make a public apology to the entire student body and to Mr. Cole Fisher personally. As for this notice," he said, ripping the paper from the board and crushing it in his fist, "it is baseless nonsense." Sophia collapsed, slumping to the floor in a heap. She couldn't believe that her petty act of revenge had led to this. Isabel took my hand and led me past her, pausing for a moment. "You dare touch what's mine?" Her voice was quiet, but it was a blade that plunged straight into Sophia's heart. As she led me out into the sunlight, for the first time, I understood the profound warmth and security of being protected. The annual campus basketball tournament was coming up, and Big Mike dragged me into signing up. He said I needed to stop moping, get some exercise, and show off some masculine charm, so Isabel wouldn't think I was just some bookworm. I couldn't argue with him, so I agreed. The game was intense. A guy on the other team, a varsity player, was playing dirty, deliberately shoving me every chance he got. I ignored it a few times, but when we both went for a rebound, he gave me a hard shove from behind. I lost my balance, and my arm slammed against the sharp edge of the backboard support. A long, deep gash opened up, and blood started pouring out. The ref blew the whistle, calling a flagrant foul. Big Mike completely lost it and had to be held back by our teammates. I waved them off, saying I was fine, and walked to the nurse's office alone. The nurse wasn't there. I rummaged through the cabinets for cotton swabs and antiseptic to clean the wound myself. Just as I found them, the door flew open with a bang, and Isabel rushed in, out of breath. The moment she saw the cut on my arm, her eyes went red. "What happened? How could you be so careless?" She snatched the supplies from my hand, her face a storm of anxiety and pain, and gently pushed me down onto a chair. As I watched her fuss over me, a warmth spread through my chest. But at the same time, a long-buried memory surfaced. The 7th lifetime. I'd also been injured in a basketball game. It was much worse that time. Someone had intentionally slid under me as I landed, and I ended up with a fractured tibia. I was in the hospital for 3 months. That time, too, it had been for Sophia. A group of thugs were harassing her, and I played the hero. I got beaten half to death for my trouble. Isabel was focused, carefully cleaning the wound. Her touch was impossibly gentle. As the antiseptic-soaked cotton swab neared a faint, almost invisible old scar on my forearm, her hand instinctively flinched and moved around it, as if avoiding an invisible minefield. In that single instant, my blood ran cold. That scar. That was the scar I got in the 7th lifetime from a broken beer bottle one of the thugs used on me. When that life ended, my body reset. That scar should have vanished. There is absolutely no way that scar existed on my body in this lifetime. How did she know? How did she react as if she'd seen it with her own eyes, instinctively avoiding a wound that wasn't even there? A single, insane thought exploded in my mind, hitting me like a bolt of lightning. I grabbed her wrist, my grip so tight it surprised even me. My voice was a choked, trembling wreck from the sheer shock. "Who are you?" Isabel's body went rigid. She slowly looked up at me. Her eyes were instantly flooded with tears, which she stubbornly refused to let fall. She didn't answer my question. She just stared at me with an expression I had never seen before. A devastating mix of infinite sorrow, endless pain, and a love so deep it was terrifying. It was as if she was looking right through my skin, past my bones, and into the soul that had been battered and broken across 9 lifetimes. The truth was right there, hanging in the air between us. I followed Isabel out of the nurse's office in a daze. My mind was a chaotic mess, the phantom scar and her look of utter devastation replaying in an endless loop. I had to know the truth. In an empty hallway, I spun around and pinned her against the wall, my arms bracketing her body. "Tell me." My voice was a raw, desperate rasp. "How did you know about that scar?" "How?" The suddenness of my actions startled her, but she didn't struggle. She just looked at me, and the tears she had been holding back for 9 lifetimes finally broke free. Because I saw it. Her voice was broken, each word a shard of glass. I saw everything. She finally let it all out, the secret she'd been holding collapsing under the weight of her tears. She explained that, at some point, she had started retaining her memories after each reincarnation. She was a ghost trapped in a time loop, forced to watch me walk toward the same tragic end, over and over again. The first lifetime, you pushed Sophia out of the way of a speeding truck. You were torn to pieces. I was right across the street. I saw it all. The third lifetime, you had stomach cancer. With your last bit of money, you bought her favorite champagne roses and had them delivered. She stomped on every single one of them right in front of you. I knew. The 7th lifetime, when those guys beat you half to death on the basketball court, it was me. I was the one who anonymously called 911. But when you woke up, the first thing you asked the doctor was if Sophia was okay. And the 9th time, I watched you offer her those 999 roses with so much hope in your eyes, and I watched her throw your heart into the trash right along with them. I was completely stunned, frozen in place as if struck by lightning. All this time, I wasn't alone. Every moment of despair, every wave of pain, every lonely death, there was another pair of eyes, hidden in the shadows, crying for me. Isabel was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. She reached up with a trembling hand and caressed my cheek. "Cole, 9 times. I've waited for you for 9 lifetimes. I watched you obsess over her, throw your life away for her, again and again. I was so jealous. So jealous, I thought I would go insane. This time, you finally let her go. So can you please, just once, turn around and look at me?" Her words are like a drill, boring through the ice around my heart. An overwhelming wave of guilt, of pain, and of a powerful, terrifying new emotion crashed over me and swallowed me whole. What a fool I'd been. What had I done? 7, I don't remember how Isabel and I got back to her car. My brain was still reeling from the colossal weight of the truth. She didn't speak either, just drove in silence, so heavy it was hard to breathe. That weekend, she said to me, "Cole, will you come with me to a gala tonight?" I hesitated. I didn't belong in places like that. "Please, just as my date," she added, a note of pleading in her voice I couldn't refuse. She had a high-end Armani tuxedo waiting for me. It was perfectly tailored, accentuating the physique I'd maintained through years of exercise. When I stepped out of the fitting room, Isabel's eyes lit up. "You look amazing," she said, her voice full of genuine admiration. The gala was held in the penthouse ballroom of a five-star hotel. It was a glittering affair, filled with the city's elite. It was a Vance family event. Every guest was someone of consequence. I stuck close to Isabel, feeling like an imposter in my expensive suit. Sensing my discomfort, she linked her arm tightly through mine. "Don't be nervous," she whispered. "I'm right here." Just then, two familiar figures came into view. Sophia Reed, and beside her, the guy I'd only ever seen in photos, her supposed soulmate, Landon Hayes, the heir to the Hayes Corporation. Sophia was clearly shocked to see us. The smile froze on her face. Landon, however, gave me a slow, condescending once-over. "Isabel," he drawled, his tone dripping with sarcasm, "is this the friend you've been talking about so much lately?" Sophia seized the opening. "Oh, Landon, you don't know," she chimed in, her voice sickly sweet. "Izzy just has a big heart. She loves taking on charity cases. You know, ambitious students from the wrong side of the tracks." The insult was plain as day. A few nearby guests turned, their faces alight with curiosity, eager for the drama. My fists clenched. I was about to say something, but Isabel squeezed my hand, shaking her head slightly. She then caught the eye of a handsome man across the room, who was chatting with some other guests. He immediately understood, set down his champagne flute, and strode onto the small stage in the center of the ballroom. He was Isabel's older brother, the current head of the Vance family, Julian Vance. "Good evening, everyone." Julian's voice was calm and commanding, instantly capturing the room's attention. "If I could have your attention for a moment, I'd like to introduce a very important member of our family." He looked directly at me and smiled. "This is Mr. Cole Fisher. He is my sister Isabel's chosen fiancé and the future son-in-law of the Vance family." A collective gasp went through the crowd. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Everyone stared at me as if I'd just landed from Mars. The smiles on Landon's and Sophia's faces had vanished, replaced with looks of horror. As if that wasn't enough, Julian continued. "Also, I heard a rumor that Reed Industries has been having some cash flow problems and was hoping to partner with us." Sophia's father, a balding man in the crowd, shot to his feet, his face filled with desperate hope. But Julian's expression turned cold. "Unfortunately, my sister doesn't seem very happy tonight. She mentioned she doesn't appreciate it when people bother those she cares about. So, as for that partnership, I think we'll pass. The Vance family does not do business with people who lack basic decency." All the blood drained from Sophia's face. She stumbled, nearly collapsing. She never could have imagined that a few catty remarks would bring ruin upon her entire family. Isabel leaned in and giggled in my ear, a hint of a triumphant devil in her eyes. "You bully my man? I'll make sure your family goes bankrupt." I looked at the girl in my arms, the one who had just moved mountains for me, and my heart overflowed with a love so fierce it almost hurt. 8 after the gala, Isabel didn't take me back to campus. The car wound its way toward the outskirts of the city, finally stopping in front of a modern, secluded villa surrounded by lush greenery. "This is my private studio," she said, leading me by the hand. She opened the door, and when my eyes adjusted to the light, I was absolutely thunderstruck. It was an enormous studio, and every inch of wall space was covered with paintings of me. There were hundreds of them, hung frame to frame. There was me in my first life, wearing a faded college sweatshirt, reading by a library window. There was me in my third life, standing in a downpour, stubbornly holding a bouquet of roses outside Sophia's dorm. There was me in my fifth life, sitting alone in that little Cajun joint, a small, satisfied smile on my face as I ate my catfish. And there was me in my seventh life, lying bloody and broken on the basketball court, my eyes vacant. Every painting captured a secret moment from a different lifetime. And in the bottom corner of each canvas, in elegant script, she had written her thoughts. First life, he took the hit for her. He's such an idiot. If it were me, I would have pulled him out of the way with me, not just frozen in fear. Third life, he's dying, and he's still thinking of her. It hurts so much to watch. Cole, please, just look at me. Seventh life, he was covered in blood. I was so scared, so terrified he wouldn't wake up. Thank God the ambulance came in time. I walked from one painting to the next, reliving a past that had been defined by misery and obsession. But this time, I wasn't seeing it through a lens of loneliness, but through the eyes of someone who had loved and ached for me through it all. I stopped in front of the final painting. It was a portrait of me from the 9th lifetime, just after Sophia's rejection, a desolate figure walking away under the sickly yellow glow of a single streetlight. Beside it, the inscription was written with a new, determined fire. Cole, you walked 99 steps for her. You're tired. You can't take the final step. That's okay. This time, I'll walk it for you. Reading those words, I finally broke. 9 lifetimes of humiliation, of pain, of despair, combined with the staggering, overwhelming feeling of being cherished this deeply. It shattered all my defenses. I spun around and pulled the girl who had been watching me this whole time into my arms, holding her so tightly I thought my bones might fuse with hers. My voice was a choked, shuddering mess. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Isabel. I'm sorry it took me so long. I owed her everything. 9 Isabel hugged me back, patting my back gently, as if comforting a wounded child. It's not too late, she whispered, her voice firm and full of love. It's not too late at all. As long as it's you in the end, any amount of waiting is worth it. I couldn't hold back any longer. I cupped her tear-stained face in my hands and kissed her. This kiss had no objective, no system-mandated goal. It was fueled only by 9 lifetimes of delayed guilt, of heartache, and of a love for her that I could no longer deny. Her lips were soft and tasted of salt from her tears, and it was the sweetest thing I had ever known. As we were lost in the moment, the cold, mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my mind. Ding! Objective Isabel Vance's affection value has reached 100%. Hidden condition Guardian's Heart has been activated. Mutual pursuit objective successful. Congratulations, host Cole Fisher. You'll be granted permanent life. System unbinding initiated. For the first time, the system's voice had a hint of warmth to it as it offered a final explanation. Following the host's decision to abandon the 9th pursuit, the system detected a trans-reincarnation level obsession and protective instinct originating from subject Isabel Vance toward the host. System automatically upgraded. The objective has been redefined from unilateral pursuit of Sophia Reed to guiding the host to discover and reciprocate the guardian Isabel Vance's affection. Mission Core. A love that goes both ways is the only one that can reach the end. So that was it. The moment I gave up on Sophia, the moment I thought I was about to be erased, it was Isabel's love, a love that transcended 9 lifetimes, that saved me. She was the true solution the system had laid out for me. She was my salvation. I looked at the girl in my arms, this girl who had given everything for me, and felt a wave of profound relief and terror. If I hadn't given up, if I had started a 10th pursuit of Sophia, would we have missed each other forever? I deepened the kiss, holding her as if I could merge our souls into one. I whispered in her ear, with all the strength and sincerity I possessed, Isabel Vance, from now on, it's my turn to protect you. For all of our lifetimes to come. 10. After the Vance family gala, my relationship with Isabel was public knowledge. We started dating openly, like any normal couple. We'd study together in the library, eat together in the dining hall, and walk to class hand in hand. She would lean her head on my shoulder like a contented cat while I read. Other times, she would act like a tiny, possessive queen, suddenly leaning over to steal a grain of rice from the corner of my mouth and declaring, "You're mine." Not a single crumb is allowed to be seen by anyone else. Every corner of campus became a backdrop for our story. And every picture, every whispered rumor, was a new knife in Sophia Reed's heart. She started acting strangely. She began to mimic the way I used to pursue her, waiting outside my dorm every single morning with breakfast. One day, Isabel and I walked out of the dorm, holding hands, and found her there. She was wearing that same white dress I used to love, a pathetic, pleading smile on her face as she offered me a paper bag. "Cole, it's the bagels from that little shop downtown and a black coffee. Just how you like it." I had to go way out of my way to get them. Before I could say a word, Isabel stepped forward and slapped the bag out of her hand. The bagels and coffee went flying, splattering all over Sophia. "He only likes the breakfast sandwiches I make for him now," Isabel said, her voice arctic. Sophia was humiliated, but she didn't give up. She would go to the library and save the quiet corner seat I always preferred. But Isabel and I would just walk past without a glance and find somewhere else to sit. She would bring sports drinks to my basketball games and try to cheer for me from the sidelines. But Isabel would have her bodyguards politely block her from getting anywhere near the court before handing me a water bottle herself. Through all of this, I never said a word to her. I never even made eye contact. My world had shrunk, and the only person in it was Isabel. This complete and utter indifference was a far more potent form of torture than any insult I could have hurled at her. It was driving her insane. She grew haggard, and the jealousy in her eyes slowly warped into a desperate, obsessive pleading. She couldn't understand why the man who had loved her so much he was willing to die for her had become so cold, so final. She started to miss him. She missed the old Cole Fisher, the one who would always come running back to her, tail between his legs, no matter how many times she kicked him away. But she didn't realize that she was the one who had killed him. 11. Our engagement party was a grand affair, held in the same penthouse ballroom at the Vance Family Hotel, with its breathtaking view of the city skyline. Isabel wore a stunning midnight blue gown that I had helped design, looking every bit the princess she was. We stood together, accepting the heartfelt congratulations of our friends and family. The ceremony was halfway through. We were about to exchange rings when the ballroom doors were suddenly thrown open. Sophia Reed stumbled in, wearing an out-of-place white dress. Her hair was a mess, and her eyes were wild. Security guards tried to stop her, but she fought them off like a madwoman. She ran onto the stage and grabbed my arm, tears streaming down her face. "Cole, I was wrong. I was so wrong," she sobbed. "I love you. I realized I love you. Please come back to me. Just look at me. You used to love me more than anything. You said you would die for me. Was all of that a lie?" The guests erupted in scandalized whispers. The Vance family looked furious. Julian signaled for the guards to drag her off, but I held up a hand, stopping them. I calmly, deliberately peeled Sophia's fingers off my arm, one by one. Then I took the microphone from the officiant. "Miss Reed," I said, my voice quiet but carrying through the silent ballroom. "Before you ask if my words were lies, I have a few questions for you." I looked at her, my eyes devoid of any emotion. "The 9th time, when you threw the 999 roses I spent 3 days preparing for you into a trash can in front of the whole school, did you ever imagine this day would come?" Sophia flinched, her face growing a shade paler. "When you pointed at me and called me a loser, said I was disgusting, and told me to get lost, or you'd put me in my place every time you saw me, did you ever imagine this day?" Her lips began to tremble. She couldn't speak. "I took a car for you. I took a knife for you. I got cancer and died for you. I died for you 9 times, Sophia, and not once did you ever look back. So what right do you have to stand here now and question if my love was real? And what right do you have to say you love me?" With every question, the color drained further from her face. By the end, she was as white as a sheet and collapsed to the floor in a heap. I turned away from her and looked at my fiancé with all the love in my heart. I took the diamond ring from its box and knelt on one knee. "My love is a very expensive thing," I said, my voice clear and strong. "And from the moment I gave up on you, it has belonged to only one person." I slid the ring onto Isabel's finger. It was a perfect fit. "Isabel Vance, will you marry me?" Tears of joy streamed down her face as she nodded vigorously. "Yes, I will." I stood and kissed my bride as thunderous applause filled the room. The last thing I heard as the guards finally dragged Sophia away was a single, soul-shattering scream of utter despair. It was her final judgment. 12 Sophia Reed was thrown out of the engagement party. She had lost everything: her reputation, her pride, her family's fortune. Having made an enemy of the Vance family, Reed Industries declared bankruptcy within a week. Her father, unable to handle the blow, took his own life. The wealthy suitors who used to flock to her, including her precious Landon Hayes, now avoided her like the plague. And the one thing she had become obsessed with, me, was now forever out of her reach. She had fallen from grace and hit rock bottom. That night, she wandered the streets in a daze, a ghost haunting the city. When the blinding headlights of a speeding truck bore down on her, she didn't even try to move. In a final explosion of pain and darkness, she heard a familiar, cold, mechanical voice. Intense regret and obsession detected. Unrequited pursuit, system binding. Binding successful. Host, Sophia Reed. She snapped her eyes open. She was standing next to that familiar trash can on campus. The air was thick with the smell of decaying roses. At her feet lay the wilted remains of the 999 flowers she had thrown away. Not far off, the man she now desperately wanted was staring at her, his eyes filled with a cold, dead emptiness she had never seen before. She had been reborn. She was back on the day of my 9th rejection. A wave of pure ecstasy washed over her. The universe had given her a second chance. This time, she wouldn't push me away. She would hold on to me, win me back, and fix everything. But the next moment, a line of text on her new system interface sent a chill down her spine. Pursuit objective, Cole Fisher. Current affection value, -infinity, -infinity. Irreversible. Main quest, make Cole Fisher fall in love with you again. Mission failure penalty, soul, erasure, and timeline reset to the current node. She froze. -infinity? Irreversible? What did that mean? She refused to believe it. The man who had loved her for 9 lifetimes couldn't possibly feel nothing for her. She ran toward me, ecstatic, ready to play her old games, a slap, then a sweet word, to win me back. But she passed right through me like a phantom. System notification. Until host Cole Fisher voluntarily abandons his pursuit, you are unable to make any physical contact with the pursuit objective. Just then, she saw me answer my phone. The dead look on my face melted away, replaced by a smile so gentle and full of love it took her breath away. A moment later, a limited edition sports car she had only ever dreamed of pulled up in front of me. The door opened. Isabel Vance got out, her eyes red-rimmed, and walked cautiously toward me, asking the question that would forever haunt Sophia's nightmares. Cole Fisher, I heard you're single now. Does that mean I can ask you out? History was repeating itself right before her eyes. But this time, she was the helpless observer, trapped on the outside, screaming into the void. The scene shifted. It was me and Isabel on a sun-drenched beach, celebrating our wedding. We exchanged rings and shared a blissful kiss. And Sophia could only watch, a pathetic spectator in the crowd. The system's cold, emotionless countdown began in her ear. Mission failure. Preparing for erasure. Resetting timeline in 3, 2, 1. Trapped in an endless loop of darkness and rebirth, she would be forced to watch, over and over and over again, as I ran toward another woman. Forever.